Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to my presentation. I'm Andrew Angeles from the Department of Linguistics, and I'm presenting today on prosodic adjunction in Kyoto Japanese compound words. So let me just share my screen. All right. Actually, let me do that again, because I am on the wrong thing. There we go. Okay, one more time. Okay. So chances are you've thought of English before. Our weird spelling system, or the way that door sounds funny if you say it to yourself too many times, or the way that we emphasize certain parts of words more than others. We call this emphasis, accent, or stress. And we see it everywhere. For example, in graduate, or research, or symposium. And we can use accent to give contrast to words that we want to contrast. If we want to put some words together, then we can get bigger words, which we call compound words. For example, graduate research symposium. And this one has accent too. It's got one accent on each word, but the one in the middle on research is the strongest. We can also use accent to know that I'm talking about hot dogs, something that you eat, rather than hot dogs, dogs that are hot. Naturally, other languages have accent too. Kyoto Japanese, for example, has accent and also an initial tone, either a high tone, which I indicate here with a subscript H, or a low tone, which I indicate with a subscript, or superscript L and H, sorry. So for example, we have Nihon, which means Japan, or Shimin, citizen. We can also have compounds like Buyo Kyokai, dance association, or Kaigishitsu, meeting room. And we can combine these words to make bigger compounds too, but when we actually put them together, the way they look isn't exactly as simple as just sticking them together in terms of their accent and their tone. For example, if we put together Nihon and Buyo Kyokai, there are two possibilities. One of them is Nihon Buyo Kyokai, which means Association of Japanese Dance, or Nihon Buyo Kyokai, which means Dance Association of Japan. We can see that the two compounds mean different things too. As far as their differences go, if we take a look at the first words, in the first one, the top one, the first word has lost its accent, which we can see with a regular I there. But the second one keeps it, which we can see with the accented I. Similarly, in the second words, the top one has lost its L tone, but the bottom one has kept it. Furthermore, there are actually different ways to keep or lose accents and tones. For example, if we take a look at the combination of Shimin and Kaigishitsu, then we get Shimin Kaigishitsu, which is citizens meeting room. And we see in the first word that the accent has been lost, just like the first word in the top compound. But in the second word, the tone has been kept, just like the second word in the second compound there. So why does this happen? Well, we can think about something called phrasing, which is how words are grouped together to form bigger units. And what phrasing does is it can change the way things sound in terms of their accent, and it can change their meaning. So if we take a look, for example, at the answers in the following pairs of questions, we can see the difference. What about surfing? Who likes surfing? Sammy likes surfing. Versus, what about Sammy? What does Sammy like? Sammy likes surfing. These two sentences have the same words, but they're grouped differently. In the first one, Sammy is alone in its own phrase and it gets an accent. But in the second one, surfing is alone in its own phrase and it gets its own accent. So we get Sammy likes surfing versus Sammy likes surfing. Compounds are, in a sense, phrases, since they are two or more words put together into one expression. So Ito and Mester, 2018, proposed that the reason why we see differences in accents and tones is because of different phrasings. So for example, one of them, we can have a phrase with 2 words inside it, just like that, or a phrase with 2 phrases inside it, each containing 1 word. Notice that these structures are symmetrical. In my work, I propose that for Kyoto Japanese, there's another kind of compound structure where we actually have an asymmetrical structure where a word and a phrase go on the same level, and we get this. Now, the proposal of these different structures leads to different predictions because they have different structures. So if we consider the left branch on each structure, the ones in orange have the same structure, it's just a word on top. And so we'd expect them to have the same characteristics in terms of accent goes. And we see this in the fact that neither one has an accent. But the different one in the bottom left does have an accent since it has a different structure. Now, if we compare the right-hand side on each one, the 2 in orange, again, have the same structure with a phrase all the way on top, and they both keep their L tones. But the one on the top left that has just a word on top loses its L tone. So this asymmetry is called Prosodica Junction, and evidence for Prosodica Junction, in addition to the symmetrical structures that we saw on the left side, allow researchers to have more tools that they can use to explain and account for how and why compounds and other types of phrasings have different accents and different meanings and different organizations. And that is what I'm working on right now. Thank you very much.